I have to 100% complete Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, achieving everything the game has to offer in 1 year, so that my friend Adam can start watching one of my favorite animes, and the series that sold me on Japanese animation as a whole, One Piece. Taking a step back, let me explain what these two properties are for those unaware. One Piece is a show about a world full of pirates and a young kid who dreams of becoming the king of the pirates, following his adventures to find the legendary lot of treasure known as the One Piece. The manga was originally released in 1997, and then it was developed into a TV series in 1999, and it is still going on to this day. It has over 1,000 chapters in its manga and over 970 plus episodes, as of the recording of this video, on top of a series of successful movies and multiple video games. One Piece is notorious in pop culture for being absurdly long, but all of the fans praise the series despite the arduous task it takes to keep up with the show. One Piece is beloved for its character development, strong positivity, and exciting fights, with One Piece becoming one of the big three of shonen anime, matching the likes of Bleach and Naruto. Now, how does this late 90s anime equate to a modern video game released a few years ago? Well, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice was created by studio FromSoftware, who have been in the gaming industry since the 1980s, but have made a name for themselves in mainstream media with the Dark Souls series, a video game series that is known for its extreme difficulty. This extreme difficulty was created to subvert the video game trends at the time by using classic video game elements, along with spawning the mania of get good and the gaming mechanics of dying over and over and over. However, this constant death had purpose. It forced the player to develop their skills to defeat the challenge or obstacle that once seemed impossible. Now, more of like a spiritual successor to the Dark Souls series rather than a continuation, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is about a single character named Wolf as he makes his way through 17th century Japan, fighting all sorts of monsters and men, all in the hopes of rescuing his kidnapped lord. Frequently, with Adam and our other friends, we make bets and predictions surrounding all the different geeky media stuff that we love. Whether it's predicting who will show up in the new Super Smash Bros., whether or not a character is going to get killed off in a specific movie franchise, or if someone's going to get voted out in the next episode of our favorite reality show. It's always been low-stakes forms of bets, but a fun pastime nonetheless. And given that one of his favorite games is Sekiro and one of my favorite animes is One Piece, this challenge seemed inevitable. To complete Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, I need to play the game no less than 4 times for each of the game's endings. I also need to unlock every trophy or achievement in the game, and I need to do that by unlocking every skill, upgrade, and tool found in the game, along with fighting every single boss, including the ones that aren't mandatory to beat the game. And now, I technically don't have to play the game 4 times and do all of this work. There are some workarounds where I can make it a little bit easier for me, but I believe my challenge will be more manageable if I do so. That way I can handle my first playthrough as like a practice round, just learning the ropes of the game, letting myself make mistakes, and to play the game simply like a normal person enjoying a video game rather than some goofball trying to do a bet or a YouTube video. That's me, I'm the goofball. Then I can master the other playthroughs and just hone my Sekiro skills to utter perfection. Beginning my Sekiro journey showed promising results. And by promising results, I mean I died in the tutorial. Oh, wonderful. But I pulled up my bootstraps and powered on. I was progressing through the different environments of the game and, well, having similar results. Overall, I'm not great at action games, clearly, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy them from time to time, and I'm not going to let some setback stop me from completing the challenge. Then, some setbacks stopped me from completing the challenge. My PS4 died. Troubles with my PS4 console aren't anything new for me. My original PS4 slowed down so badly I had to upgrade to a Pro, which is the main machine I've been playing Sekiro on, the one that you're seeing right now. I did try cleaning it and wiping its hard drive to see if that would help, and it did, for about a week, and then finally, total death. I debated on the many different ways I could continue my Sekiro run. I could play the game on my PC, which I wasn't really confident it could run that well. Or I could just wait for the PS5 to come out and play it on that, because it's backwards compatible. Back when I thought that was an option. Or ultimately, what I ended up doing was I went out and I bought a discounted PS4. I really hate buying stuff that I don't feel like I need, but a PS4 does have its uses outside of playing games, and in my heart, I knew the run can't end like this. But in the meantime, I had to wait to continue the bet. So, what do? Well, I could watch One Piece. It had been some time since I've revisited my favorite childhood show, and it'd be good to explore the other half of the bet. And especially during quarantine, One Piece was a show that many people sought after because we have so much forced time on our hands. You see, as a kid, I watched One Piece every week on Toonami on Saturday nights, and over the years, I can confidently say I've seen a good chunk of the show. However, life did get in the way, and I haven't been able to fully keep up with the series. I still check in every now and then to make sure I know the significant story beats that are happening. But to be transparent with the context of the bet, I've never fully watched all of One Piece. But that's my history with it. What about now? How does One Piece hold up in 2020? That's a really tricky question because it does and it doesn't. As mentioned before, One Piece excels in strong, likable heroes and villains who are engaging to watch and are frequently put in scenarios that challenge them. Problem, however, is the show's pacing. More modern anime do away with padding and filler episodes, and if they are included, they really reinforce and highlight the strengths of the show. Shows like My Hero Academia tell their story through seasons, with about 2 arcs or storylines marking the first and second half of the season, which in my opinion is a great framing structure for anime. But One Piece has a more loose, continuous story structure, with each episode picking up right where the last one left off, for the most part. This can work really well, especially in the age actual play podcasts and long-form streaming content, but there is an issue with it and extending the show's length and forcing the viewer to keep up with every episode to understand the story. I know the manga is structured differently, and apparently the One Piece manga is paced reasonably well, but the bet is focused on the anime, and 1,000 chapters of a manga still don't help One Piece's case. Even as a fan, watching an excellent storyline be bogged down with fight after fight and characters appearing out of nowhere simply to stop the main character from progressing, it's really exhausting. Prolonging the rest of what this story has to offer with such a forced commitment to time and patience, all of that could break even the hardiest of people. In case I haven't made it clear, One Piece and Sekiro have this core similarity between them. And speaking of all of this, it's time to play more Sekiro. With the new PlayStation set up and ready, my journey to complete Sekiro Shadows Die Twice venture on. A new console means a new playthrough, and I start my journey from scratch once again. However, my skills are freshly honed from my previous playtime, and I'm ready to steamroll this game. For the name of Wolf and in the name of my gaming credentials. And wouldn't you know it? I'm doing worse than I did before! I'm not sure if it's because I haven't played the game in a long time. I suppose it's just because I'm bad at this game. Or is it the pressure of completing this bet? Has all of the filming and footage capturing and strategizing, has this all been too much for me? And worst of all, now I'm running out of time. I can't fail now. If Monkey D. Luffy was in the same predicament as me, he wouldn't stop at anything to achieve his goal. But what is my true goal and intention? Do I simply just want to make a YouTube video about a show that I really enjoy? And am I just forcing my friend to enjoy what I enjoy? Do I even like Sekiro? And the answer is no. The more I play the game, the more I can respect it. FromSoftware has made a stellar game with engaging gameplay and rewarding mechanics for those willing to put the time in. And I certainly have the time to do it. Suppose I scrapped all of the bull of the YouTube video and the bet and all of this pomp and circumstance, and I just sit down and really master this game, like many people have done and many people will do, and more power to you for doing that. I believe however you use your time, if you enjoy it, it's not wasted time. My issue is I just don't enjoy Sekiro. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is not a game made for me. I've done the work and I've given its due. A good example of this is I was having trouble with the mini boss of the Chained Ogre, so I sat down and I powered my way through it. It took some time, and eventually, after learning their movements, knowing when to strike, knowing when to back off, I beat the beast. It was slain, and I felt nothing. No excitement that I could progress to the next area, just frustration and hollow completion. And then a sinking feeling that there was a whole nother boss to fight, and another boss after that, to do the same lesson all over again. I reiterate, this is not a fault of the game and not a fault of the genre. I know that most Souls games, if not all, are like this. And there are games that do this mechanic really well that I enjoy. It's just the Souls series and the genre doesn't click with me. And that's perfectly okay. In a similar fashion, One Piece in the shonen genre might not be for some people. I understand watching a dumb, kind-hearted dude punch a bad guy for episodes upon episodes until the bad guy is defeated, or, more likely, turn good. That might sound excruciatingly dull for some, and really engaging for others. Everyone is different, but I don't want to end this on the note that everyone is different and we have different tastes, because I believe that we should learn from one another to see the enjoyment we can take out of our unenjoyment. Because One Piece and Sekiro are very good examples of this. With Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece's establishment of the shonen formula, shows like My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen, two of my favorite current animes, wouldn't be half as good as they are. Those shows learned what worked from the past and have grown and evolved past their predecessors. And with Sekiro, creating a high bar for players to have this mentality of patience and perseverance came from classic games such as Mega Man and Castlevania. They did a very similar thing, which is why FromSoftware pulled elements from classic video games to reintroduce into modern video games. It created this interaction of learning from the past and using your creativity and your visions of the past to create something unique and new. During 2020, and during my downtime of being frustrated with Sekiro, I played and completed 3 games that I absolutely love: Into the Breach, Hades, and Earthbound. These are all games that I have played before or played very briefly and tried to get into, but never felt I could, or in some instances I couldn't get past a specific difficulty spike, or I just found the game too difficult overall. But due to the lessons taught through Sekiro, I was able to power through and learn and watch what those particular games were trying to show me with their game mechanics. And once I understood that, I could really enjoy a game that from the get-go I had already enjoyed. And like I said before, if you don't enjoy something and you've spent a lot of time on it and you still don't enjoy it, that's totally okay. Everyone can learn something from everything. But it's using those lessons that you've learned, that's what makes you stronger. And that's what shows real growth. Strong enough to be the king of the pirates, or a master shinobi. Or, like me, something in between.
Here's how the story goes. We find out by the treasure in the grand line. There's no doubt. The pirate whose eye is on it, he'll sing. I'll be king of the pirates. I'm gonna be king. His name is Luffy. That's Monkey D. Luffy. King of the pirates. He's made of rubber.
How did that happen?
Yo ho ho, he took a bite of gum gum.